Somebody is about to lose everything on live television, and she doesn't know it yet. But here's the strange part. The person about to lose isn't the one you're expecting. And by the end of this next hour on grass, one country's entire relationship with a sport it never took seriously will be rewritten in front of 15,000 people who came dressed for a funeral and left screaming a name they couldn't pronounce 3 weeks earlier. So who actually breaks first, the champion or the challenger? And why does everyone in that stadium already look like they know the answer before the first ball is even struck? Rewind. 27 days. Nobody is watching yet. A 21-year-old named Alex is standing on a grass court in Birmingham that nobody outside tennis could find on a map. Down a set, down a break, down almost everything except the one thing that doesn't show up on a scoreboard. She is not afraid of losing this match. She is afraid of what happens if she doesn't. She wins it anyway. Nobody notices. Then Berlin happens, and this is where it stops being a nice story and starts being a warning nobody reads in time. She beats the world number 2. Then, 2 days later, she beats the world number 8. Same surface. Same grass that in a few weeks will be the most famous lawn in the sport. 3 wins over top 10 players before she has even set foot inside the gates of the tournament that will make her name a household word in a country of over 100 million people. And still, somehow, almost nobody outside that country has noticed what is quietly loading in the background. Cut to a press room. Fluorescent lighting, water bottles, a defending champion sitting behind a microphone being asked about a player she is about to face in the 3rd round. Her answer is 7 words long, and if you know tennis, you already feel your stomach drop. She doesn't really know Alex's game. That's it. That's the whole answer. A 6-time Grand Slam champion, the reigning queen of that exact court, admitting on record that she hasn't done the homework. And here's the detail that should terrify her, but somehow doesn't seem to. This isn't the first time these two have met. Miami. Months earlier. Alex already beat her once, in straight sets, in a Masters 1000 quarterfinal. So this isn't an unknown quantity walking onto center court. This is a rematch the champion apparently forgot she lost. And the crowd already knows something she doesn't. Before the 3rd round even starts, something strange is happening outside the gates of the All England club. Queues forming before sunrise, red and yellow and blue rippling across Henman Hill. A flag so large it takes 2 people to carry it through security. Hand-painted signs referencing inside jokes only a few thousand people on the planet would understand. This isn't tennis fandom. This is a diaspora showing up to defend something. And when Alex wins her 2nd round match days earlier, she doesn't thank the crowd in English. She thanks them in Tagalog, straight into the microphone. And somewhere in that stadium, people who have never watched a full match of tennis in their lives suddenly feel like they have skin in this. Now it's Saturday. Now it's center court. Now it's real. The first set alone takes 84 minutes. Not the match, the set. And inside that 84 minutes there are 2 moments where Alex is 1 point away from losing the entire set. And there are 4 moments where she is 1 point away from winning it. And every single time the moment arrives, something in her does not let it slip. It goes to a tiebreak. Not a normal one. A 20-point tiebreak. The kind that turns a stadium into a held breath. The kind where every single point feels like it should be the last one, and somehow isn't. Until, on her 4th attempt, the champion's forehand sails just long, and the most conservative, tradition-bound court in the sport goes quiet for exactly 1 second before it detonates. 1 set gone for the champion. And here is where you'd expect the tension to break. It doesn't. It just changes shape, because now you're not wondering if Alex can win a set anymore. You're wondering something much bigger. Can a 21-year-old ranked 32 places below her opponent actually finish the job on the biggest stage in the sport? Or does this turn into one of those stories where the underdog gets close and the ranking reasserts itself in the end? The answer arrives in the strangest possible way. Midway through the 2nd set, Alex's feet go out from under her on the slick grass. She's down. Fully down, racket dragging across the turf. And instead of conceding the point, she stretches out, still on the ground, and somehow keeps the ball alive. She doesn't win that specific point. It doesn't matter, because in that one frame, a champion on the floor refusing to let go of the rally, you can feel the entire match tilt, and the crowd feels it too, and from there the set turns into something closer to a formality. Match point comes on the 3rd try. A forehand, her 24th clean winner of the match. And then something happens that no stat sheet will ever capture. She drops her racket, and she starts crying, right there live, in front of everyone. And what she says next is the part that turns a sports headline into something people who don't even follow sports start sharing. She doesn't talk about the ranking. She doesn't talk about the trophy. She talks about ruffled socks. She talks about light-up shoes. She talks about training after school with her brother and her grandfather, years before any of this, when nobody was watching and nobody had any reason to believe this exact afternoon was coming. And then, almost as an afterthought, she adds one more sentence, quieter than the rest, aimed less at the crowd and more at herself. That being emotional doesn't mean she's satisfied. That she's not done. If you think that's the peak of this story, you have badly underestimated what's coming. Because the moment the cameras cut away from her face, the story stops being about one match and starts being about something much larger and much stranger. A ranking collapse that nobody predicted. A boxing legend suddenly weighing in. A Wimbledon royal reaching out in public. And a 5-month journey backward that reveals this exact moment was almost never going to happen at all. Start with the numbers. Because the numbers don't add up the way you'd expect. Winning this match, beating a 6-time Grand Slam champion in straight sets on the most famous court in tennis, should be the best thing that ever happened to Alex's ranking. Instead, she is about to fall out of the world's top 5. Not because of anything that happened this week, because of points she was defending from a title run months earlier that she couldn't protect while she was busy making history in London. She is told this. Her response, delivered flatly in the press room afterward, is that she genuinely doesn't care anymore about the result on paper. Say that sentence again in your head. A 21-year-old, minutes removed from the biggest win of her career, telling reporters the ranking doesn't matter to her. And somewhere in Cincinnati, a tournament she's supposed to defend a title at in August, that quote is already being filed away for later, because if she loses those points too, this exact interview is the one everyone replays. But before Cincinnati, before any of that, something else starts happening that has nothing to do with tennis rankings at all. A boxer posts a video. Not just any boxer, an 8-division world champion, arguably the most recognized Filipino athlete who has ever lived, someone who built the sporting reputation of an entire country with his fists, decades before anyone thought that same country could produce a tennis player worth watching. His message is short. 3 words repeated. Proud. So proud. And then, from a completely different direction, a name drops that changes the entire scale of this story. A woman who has stood on that exact center court balcony as champion 5 separate times, a doubles partner of Alex's from earlier this season, publicly congratulates her. When a legend who has held that trophy herself and a boxing icon who built a nation's sporting identity both reach toward the same 21-year-old in the same week, you have to ask yourself what that actually means, and the answer is unsettling in its size. It means the sport has already decided something the rankings haven't caught up to yet. Alex isn't knocking on a door anymore. She's already inside, and the only people who haven't fully processed that yet are the ones keeping score. Now here's where the story should slow down, should let you breathe for a second. And instead it does the opposite, because the next fact changes everything you thought you understood about how inevitable this moment was. A region of over 600 million people has never, in the entire modern era of the sport, produced a single Grand Slam quarterfinalist among its women. Not one. Ever. And Alex, right now, sits exactly 1 match away from breaking that. Her next opponent is a former Wimbledon finalist, a top 13 seed, someone considered one of the most dangerous players left in the draw. And here's the twist buried inside the twist. Alex has already beaten her this year, months earlier, comfortably, on a different continent. So is this a formality? Don't answer that yet, because 5 months ago, this exact kind of pressure did something to Alex that nobody expected. And if you don't understand what happened in January, you don't actually understand what just happened in July. Rewind again, Melbourne, the Australian Open, months before any of this. Thousands of Filipino fans flood the practice courts just to watch her warm up, forming lines that stretch for hundreds of yards before the sun is even fully up. This should feel like support. Instead, something breaks. The weight of that many eyes, that much hope riding on one 21-year-old's shoulders, becomes too heavy, and she exits that tournament earlier than anyone expected, earlier than her seeding suggested she should have. The same adoration that will eventually carry her to center court almost buried her first. So how does someone go from cracking under the exact same kind of pressure in January to walking onto the most intimidating stage in the sport in July, and looking like she's been ready for this her entire life? She answers that question herself, sitting in the post-match press conference, still wearing the visor that's become part of her identity, an item stitched with a phrase in her own language, one that most of the reporters in that room can't read and don't ask her to translate, though it roughly means something has grown, and once it has, it cannot be stopped. She doesn't talk about talent. She talks about hours. 12-hour days at the courts, with her family, with the same people who trained her when she was a kid in ruffled socks. Waking up early, coming home late, long before anyone outside her house believed this was where it was going. That, she says, is what keeps her from breaking. Not the crowds. Not the flags. Not the sign someone painted by hand outside the gates in her honor. The work nobody saw. Now here's the piece of this story that nobody in that stadium on Saturday was thinking about, but should have been, because it turns the entire day into something closer to a circle closing than a story beginning. Years earlier, at a graduation ceremony inside a tennis academy in Spain, a teenager named Alex received her diploma from a guest of honor. A champion, someone already carrying multiple Grand Slam titles, who stood in front of the graduating class and told them, in essence, to be relentless. That same woman, years later, is the one standing across the net from Alex on center court, losing in straight sets, watching a lesson she once handed out get returned to her with interest. Nobody scripted that. Nobody could have. It's the kind of detail you don't notice until it's already happened. And once you do notice it, you can't unsee it. The teacher didn't just lose a tennis match. She lost to her own advice, executed better than she ever could have predicted, by the one student who apparently listened closest. So where does that leave everyone watching right now? With one match left before history, an actual 600 million person, never been done before piece of history, sitting on the shoulders of someone who, 5 months ago, couldn't handle the weight of a practice court crowd, and who 5 months later dropped to the grass mid-rally and still refused to let the point die. That's the story underneath the story. Not the ranking, not the trophy, the 5 months between breaking and unbreakable, and the fact that nobody, not even the woman who handed her that diploma years ago, saw exactly how far that lesson was going to travel. The scoreboard from Saturday is already old news. The real score is still being written, one match away from a history that has never existed, by a girl who once trained after school in light-up shoes, and who just proved, on the loudest stage in tennis, that quiet work eventually gets loud enough to shake a country that has spent decades believing this sport belonged to someone else.